Speaker, a new report from the military ombudsman points to a heartbreaking situation facing too many military families. With soldiers on deployment, spouses and children face challenges at twice the rate of other Canadians. Military families are 4 times less likely to have a family physician. They need better access to housing, employment and a decent education. We are asking these women and men to serve our country, but not enough is done for their families here at home. Can the Minister of Defence tell Canadians why military families aren't given the priority they deserve?
I should point out to the honourable member that the Canadian Armed Forces is working to ease the burden of housing on military families. And I can quote from the Ombudsman himself, who says that, and I quote, support to families has been elevated to a top institutional priority, and that today's military families receive more support than ever. Mr. Speaker, I would hope that the honourable member get on board, start supporting the government's efforts to support the men and women in uniform, Mr. Speaker.
Malgré leurs belles paroles, la réalité, c'est que les conservateurs négligent les familles des soldats. Ils font rien pour améliorer la situation inadéquate du logement pour nos militaires, qui doivent souvent vivre dans des maisons mal rénovées, construites il y a plus d'un demi-siècle. Le rapport de l'Ombudsman souligne que les familles de nos militaires ont de plus en plus de difficultés à trouver du logement abordable et de qualité près des bases militaires. Qu'entend faire le ministre pour corriger cette situation?
Speaker, I don't know why she's referring to the Ombudsman's report as rhetoric. I mean, again, I'll point out that what the Ombudsman said, that support to families has been elevated to a top institutional priority, and today's military families receive more support than ever. If she really wants to do something, start talking to her colleagues and quit voting against the billions of dollars that this government has expended to support the men and women in uniform and veterans in this country.
On a de beaux discours, mais la réalité, Monsieur le Président, c'est que les conservateurs continuent d'équilibrer leur budget sur le dos des héros qui ont risqué leur vie pour notre pays. Comme c'est dans le cas avec le programme d'aide pour les funérailles pour les anciens combattants. Hier, j'ai demandé au ministre pourquoi moins de 30% du budget pour l'aide aux funérailles avait été dépensé. Il m'a répondu qu'il avait doublé les limites du programme. Mais, Monsieur le Président, à quoi ça sert de doubler les limites d'un programme quand les vétérans et leurs familles ne sont même pas admissibles?
Well, Mr. Speaker, listening to that rhetoric, it's almost wishful thinking that we have more of our veterans deceased so as there be more money used. The reality is, Mr. Speaker, that the Parliamentary Budget Officer confirmed in his report that our government more than doubled the finances for funerals and other programs, and while all the time the NDP has voted against these programs, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Sackville Eastern Shore.
What utter nonsense, Mr. Speaker. He knows very well, Mr. Speaker, that the money given was only to those that qualified. 2/3 of all applicants to the last post fund are still denied, Mr. Speaker. That's what the PBO officer said. We said that a year ago, that if you did not raise the exemption limit past the 12,000 mark, 2/3 of all applicants will still be denied. And, Mr. Speaker, this is the last chance that a grateful nation has to say to a family of a veteran who is now deceased, thank you for your sacrifice and service. Will the government now increase the exemption limit so that more veterans and their families will have access to these funds?
The Honourable Minister of Veterans Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, no government has done more for our serving men and women and our veterans. And it's ironic that one thing that member has shown is that he consistently votes against the equipment our men and women need in theatre, and when they come home, that member votes against their benefits as veterans. Mr. Speaker, I call on that member to stop playing political games at the expense of our serving armed forces members and our veterans.
Honourable members.